Ayahuasca is not a service that you buy. It is a ceremony that is being shared. It's a lot different than calling over a massage therapist and telling him to give you a massage. And let me explain. So, we all have heard the saying that the customer is king, the customer is always right. And obviously, we want to have the people that come here have a good experience, to listen to their feedback and everything, and make sure that the customer is happy, because a happy customer means good reviews, it means a good reputation, it means word of mouth, it means that the customer is coming back. But I've been going customer because in reality, the people who are coming to ayahuasca retreats are patients. And the work with patients is a lot different than the work with customers. And I don't like to say that much when people come here that, hey, you're a patient, because it's like, I'm going to an ayahuasca retreat and now I'm like considered a patient, what's wrong with me? It can, maybe feel a bit intrusive. But in a way, we are all patients, patients from the human condition of life, the suffering that is part of the existence here on earth. And we all have things that we were not able to process emotionally. So many people suffer from depression, anxiety. So many people also come here with the worries of their soul, of their heart, and are looking for a level of liberation. And obviously, you can also drink ayahuasca to improve your life, to create a vision for your life and gain clarity. But just wanted to explain the concept that, in a way, you are, and myself as well, we're more patient than customers. So if you are working with patients, you need to treat them based on the indication that is being presented to you. So let's say a person is crying in the ceremony, and what one might think is like, hey, I want to console them, I want to give them a hug, I want to ask them how they're doing, if I can do something for them. But with the work with the medicine, what that person needs in the majority of the cases is actually to be with that emotion, to feel the pain, and that's like a way of liberating it. Another example is, let's say somebody feels nausea in the ceremony and wants to vomit, but it really can't, and it's like, oh, I finally want to get rid of it, I can't vomit, what's going on? And there are ways to increase the likelihood of vomiting, but in most cases what's happening is that the ayahuasca is scanning the body, it's collecting all the garbage, and whenever it's ready to go, the ayahuasca is gonna leave. And in that sense, by using certain methods to make that person vomit, either themselves or through other ways, it can cut their process, and that person might not experience the level of healing that will be possible in that ceremony. So even though in that moment it might not be what the person wants in that moment, and also maybe you go to a doctor and he needs to take your blood and you really don't like if somebody puts it, if you see needles, but if that's what needs to happen in that moment, that's what needs to happen. Another example is, let's say, and there's different times in the ceremonies. There's times with music, there's times of silence, and let's say a person might be saying like, this silence is unbearable, I need to hear some music, this is too much. And it's not that we don't listen to the feedback, it's not like we don't observe what's going on in the ceremony room. We really do, and we really also take into consideration what the people need. At the same time, the shaman, the person who shares the ayahuasca, he knows his medicine, he knows what is the right moment for the right thing or that right element in the ceremony. And sometimes people are just confronted also with their judgmental mind, with their ego, and it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside, you wouldn't be able to make it right for them anyway. And let's say a hypothetical example, we are in ceremony and then one person says like, this silence is unbearable, we need some music. And then let's say the shaman's like, okay, I need to play some music. He plays the harmonica. And the next person is like, I really don't like the sounds of the harmonica. Can we do something else? And then the shaman will start playing the drums. The next person is like, ooh, this drum is like too strong. I want something softer. And so then the shaman starts playing the guitar. And the next person is like, ooh, this is so much input, so much sensory impression. I just want the silence. So now the shaman switches off to being silent. And this is an example that you do want to make sure that people feel comfortable, that people feel safe, but you can't just do what the other person wants in that moment, because in reality the shaman knows what is the right element in the ceremony at that time. So there's different ways to help harmonize the energy to support somebody in the ceremony. One of them in the tradition that we follow is smoking a tobacco and blowing the tobacco smoke at the person. And maybe the person doesn't like the tobacco smoke. And obviously if that person is allergic and there's like a health condition that prevents it, that's obviously something different. But if the shaman now needs to harmonize the energy and needs to blow tobacco to the patient, then that's what he needs to do. There are other elements, for example, the rapé. It can help to bring the ayahuasca down. It can help induce the vomiting, for example. There's different times that you can use it, but the rapé, in a way, is also a bit uncomfortable and maybe not what the people necessarily would like in that moment. Another thing is called the soplo. It's alcohol with plants. So the shaman would like take a sip and then blow it on the person. And we also explained this before the ceremony, and it's not like the shaman is spitting at you, and it's also not something that we use often in the ceremony, but if you need to use it, you need to use it. And there are people who are afraid that, and like, what if the energy of the other person goes over to me, or that I get an entity attached to me in an ayahuasca ceremony, or whatever it is. So obviously there's a level of concern around that. But then if the shaman is doing something to help harmonize, that is a problem, might also be a problem. So I'm just like sharing all of this to help understand that there is a deeper level of knowledge behind ayahuasca, and there's obviously a wisdom that has been passed around through generation, and it's a ceremony that is shared. You might not like every aspect of the ceremony, and again, things are taken into consideration, but that you also understand that in a way you are a patient. And another part of it is that sometimes people are self-conscious when they vomit, and they're like, oh, I don't want other people to see me when I vomit. Or let's say they are crying, or they need some help, and then they feel bad that they needed some help, or that they were making some noises, or whatever it is. That they needed help, and I tell them like, no, like, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel like you are a burden at any point. Let's say you are going to a hospital, and then the nurses and the doctor needs to take care of you, and let's say you're bleeding all over the place. You also wouldn't apologize that you bled all over the place. I mean, you just needed help in that moment. And just like you need at times help in the ceremony, and for the medicine givers, for the team, for the facilitators, in a way it's a service that they're doing to the people that is coming to them, to that place. So really it's for us not an inconvenience if people need help. So I also want you to know that. Also another thing that can help to harmonize the energy in the ceremony is called ortiga. It's a plant from the Amazon. It stings, it has a bunch of things on it, and it can be like hit on your or applied to your skin, and it can help you bring you back if you're like very high on the ayahuasca. So we also tell before, like, hey, it's not like we are punishing you for anything, but this is a plant from the Amazon that is in accordance with the ceremony. What's also important to understand that the ayahuasca is not predictable. There is a medicine man, Taita Kerubin, who died this year. He was over 100 years old, and he spoke at the UN for the rights of the indigenous, for the rights of the rainforest, and people asked him, he was also like very active at a high age too, building houses and doing ceremonies, and people ask him, like, Taita Kerubin, tell us about ayahuasca. And he says, like, I know a thing or two about ayahuasca. I've been drinking ayahuasca for over 100 years. But in the end, the ayahuasca does what the ayahuasca does. And I think it's a beautiful comment, because we are not the masters of ayahuasca. We cannot tell the ayahuasca in which way it's going to work in the participants. Obviously, you can ask it to be gentle. You can also communicate with ayahuasca in a way, but it has its own spirit, it has its own intelligence, it has its own mysteries, its own rhythm. And what we tell people is that we create the environment where you can connect safely with ayahuasca, that we're gonna take good care of you. But in what intensity, in what way the teachings will come to you, that's up to the ayahuasca. And some things might come to you in the ceremony, others might come to you in the days, in the weeks, in the months after. And it's a process, but it's important that you are experiencing the ceremony of ayahuasca, the way it's been guarded, these traditions for multiple generations, and also having that gratitude in your heart to receive that, and not come in necessarily with that Western mindset. Like, I paid for the ceremony and I want to have it in this way, and the ayahuasca needs to do this and this, and the shaman needs to do that, because it's not that way. Understandably, many of us are coming to drink ayahuasca to experience a deep level of healing, to experience transformation. And it can really happen with ayahuasca. At the same time, like I said, we don't know the level of intensity that is going to come. And maybe it's a very mild experience. Maybe it's a very strong experience to the point where you wish I wouldn't have, that you didn't even drink ayahuasca. And it's important that you trust the people where you participate in the ceremony with. And especially if the experience is not as strong as you wish it to be, or those epiphanies are not coming to you, or that awe-inspiring moment, I can understand the level of frustration that comes with it, because obviously there's a level of expectations, and now it's my turn, and I hope that finally I figure some things out in my life, and then it's a mild experience. And there is that notion like, oh, I just need to drink a double cup right now, or give me like 3 times the amount, or whatever it is. But you can't just like take 3 times the amount of ayahuasca, because the ayahuasca has its own mystery, has its own rhythm, and there's no grams of ayahuasca per kilogram. It's you start with the standard doses, you see how it develops in people, and then there's also opportunities to drink a second or a third cup. But it's also important, if you now bring it back to the massage therapist, that if you have a shoulder pain and now you ask the massage therapist to give you a stronger massage, he can give you a stronger massage, but he cannot break your shoulder. And in that sense, the ayahuasca shaman, he knows his medicine. He knows the quantity that he can share with the patient that is coming at that time, but there is no serving to anybody if he then shares it 3 times of the amount. Then that person has that strong of an experience that is the person has reactivations, has nightmares for multiple months after the experience. So again, be open what the ayahuasca shows you in whatever intensity that it comes to you, and also remembering that you're not drinking ayahuasca to have a psychedelic trip, to see something, to have an epiphany, but you're drinking ayahuasca to receive a level of healing. And the healing can come in mysterious ways. And to bring down the expectations a bit, and again, trusting the place that you are drinking, and knowing that they know how they're managing their medicine. So if you want to experience the magic of an ayahuasca ceremony and the way that the traditions have been guarding this for many generations, then you're more than welcome to come here and connect with the plant yourself. Also, like and share this video with somebody who you feel like would benefit from this experience. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.